You know, the homeless situation in America has just gotten worse. It's much, much worse. Um, if you're not paying attention, you just look around you, take drives to where the homeless are, you know, where they're located within cities. It has gotten bad, man. The homeless situation's gotten bad. And I think since 2020, in my opinion, that's when things really start to go south. I mean, it seems like it quadrupled, you know, because people were already on the living from payday to payday. You know, when then 2020 hit, people lost their jobs because of COVID, because of the work from home thing, and deciding on whether to take care of your family or have a job because you can't afford child care because of the COVID thing was shut down. It was just unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. So the homeless crisis is real. It's real. I was just looking at some videos the other day on YouTube. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I'm gonna put a link to his one of his videos in the comment. But he goes into the homeless location within Austin, Texas, here in Austin, and he goes and talks to the homeless and try to get an idea on the ground, really what's going on and why they are homeless, and you know some of the societal changes that are taking place in terms of how society views the homeless. I mean, I heard some of the interviews where the homeless folks were saying people it's so common nowadays for people to call them dogs. You know, some homeless folks would go to emergency rooms or hospitals for legitimate care, and they get run off and told, "Get away from here, you zombie piece of shit." You know, I couldn't imagine. You know, and there's always two sides to every story. Yes, there's two sides to every story because some of the homeless folks out there, I think, I know for sure they create some of their own problems, but there are some out there that are not because of anything they did. It's just because of the world they live in. And the way society has just crushed these folks, man. Some folks just can't take society. Some there are mental illness cases out there, yes, but that is not always the case. And I hate it when people try to associate homelessness with mental illness automatically, and that's just not always the case. I've worked with the homeless. I've worked with the homeless in Utah. One time I found myself really in a kind of low place in Utah while serving in the Air Force, and so there was a young lady who was she was already doing volunteer work at the homeless shelter, at the local homeless shelter in Utah. But every week she would try to get more folks involved. She only had like maybe 4 or 5 people at the time, a group of folks that would actually use up their lunch hours to go down to feed the homeless, help to feed the homeless. So I found myself kind of a dark place, a low place. So I was like, you know, whatever. I said, I might as well give it a try. Lo and behold, man, when I stood in that line and saw those people coming through the line and saw mothers in the line with babies and baby strollers, it just shocked me. It shocked me to the core because I've heard of homeless, but I had never been that close to homeless before. But what I saw and heard, because I began to volunteer more and more, it got to where I was volunteering like 3 times a week, from 0 to 3 times a week, like every Tuesday, Thursday, I think sometimes on a Friday or something like that. It got to the point where I would go down, I would volunteer, and I'd get to know the folks. I would go home in my closet. I would find things I didn't know I didn't need, like shoes and clothes. Man, I empty out this stuff, take it in my car, take it down there, give it to them. If I had money, extra money, I give it to them. Food, whatever, man. Yeah, because in that moment, I realized that there was something much bigger than my own little problems of being just a little dark place. There were people out there that are living in dark places every day, and not because they want to. When I saw the lady with the baby in the stroller riding by, that just tore me up, man. That just really broke my heart. And it even got to the point where I began to look at the food that they were serving the homeless down there. It was pretty decent food. It was decent food. All food that was, I think, it was given to them, volunteered to them, from local stores and companies, things like that. And they make things with it. They had homeless guys actually cooking the foods, and the homeless guys were actually good chefs, man. They actually did some things. They could take and do some things with ground beef and vegetables and all sorts of things, and cook up good meals for the homeless. I got to know the guys, and I got to even watch their methods, and it got to the point where I even sat down and had one of the meals that they had, because a lot of people have stigmas about even the meals they serve at the homeless shelters. They think that, oh, it's bad food, I'm not gonna eat that. Man, that food was good. That food was good. I went back for a second helping. I don't know what it was, some sort of beef with shredded beef with vegetables and a soupy base. Man, it was just so good, man. It was so good. But that taught me something. That taught me to never think of the homeless just in one category. They're out there for a lot of different reasons, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's mental illness, whether it's economic situations, economic downturn, layoffs. There was one lady, man, who was She had been with a job for 17 years. For 17 years, she'd been with a job, and they laid her off because of economic downturn, whatever, cutting costs. And she was already living payday to payday, so she ended up, losing everything, man, and ended up going homeless. And she ended up in some sort of adult care center because she met the requirements for her age and everything. But if she had the opportunity, she would be in her own home. But you know, she had to go in one of those adult daycare centers that I think subsidized by the state. For people that are elderly and disabled. She didn't consider herself disabled. She wanted to keep going, but her money said she could not keep going. But yeah, man, the homeless situation in Austin is unbelievable. Again, the gentleman I saw in the videos the other day, he did a damn good job of going and talking to the homeless folks. There's a lot of crazy thing going on, a lot of crazy things going on with the homeless population down there too. There are a lot of homeless folks that are unfortunately disappearing down there. They're disappearing. I believe this for I'm sure horrible reasons. Everything from I've heard people say everything from organ harvesting to use them as sexual objects or human trafficking, slave labor, you name it, man. Some of the homeless folks were saying that every night there are vans that always come and park and watch them, like dark vans that come and watch them. And some of the homeless folks would actually go up to the vans, and they said they see some of the homeless folks get into the vans. They were probably being offered something, offered some money or food or something like that, something they couldn't refuse based on their situation. But what they said was when they get into these vans, they would never see these people again. Real talk, they would never see them again. And sometimes when they did see them, they asked them, "Man, where were you at? We've been gone 3 days. What's going on with you?" They were like terrified, like they didn't want to talk about what happened to them. Like they were so shook up, they didn't want to talk about what happened to them at all. So I believe there's a lot of nefarious, horrible things going on with the homeless population. But one thing, I ask for everybody, just remember that they're still human beings, regardless of what your thoughts are on the homeless. You look, I know a lot of folks, even in my own kind of circle, who kind of said some things I didn't like, who looked down on homeless people and how they smelled. And, you know, um, some people have rubbed me the wrong way by saying they hate the sight of homeless people. You hate the sight of homeless people. What about the plight of homeless people? What about being in their shoes? To hell with what it looks like. What about what it feels like? But that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time, man. But yeah, don't ever look down on those folks. They're out there for a lot of different reasons. Let me tell you, life is tough right now. It's tough. I'm sure everybody can say that. Everybody can say that the grocery store, the foods are high, insurance is high, home prices are high. Everything is high right now. I'm sure everybody can agree. And hopefully y'all can also agree that there are a certain segment of our society that live payday to payday, and all it took was just one economic downturn, an economic issue, or some disaster, or something like that, for them to lose everything and be out on the streets. I know what living payday to payday is. I've done it, live payday to payday. I've grown up in a household where we had to live payday to payday. Often, we didn't even live payday to payday. Hell, we live payday to other payday. You know what I'm saying? Or we live shorter time than that, payday to half payday. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the hell that means. My point is that oftentimes the money just didn't sustain for a 2 weeks time period between paydays and things like that. Sometimes the money only sustained for 3 days, and so for the rest of the 11 days, you had to figure out what to do from a 2 week paycheck. It only sustained you for 3 days. You're supposed to figure out what to do for the rest of the 11 days. Well, you hustled, and that's the world I came from. But yeah, man, never look down on the homeless. Um, do what you can for those that are down on their knees. Because I tell you, a lot of them are not there because they want to be. Y'all take care. Bye bye.